Welcome back to Star Wars Nerds Unite, a discussion and review podcast focused on Star Wars and the universe thereof. I'm your host, Tim Van Altrive. Joining me, as always, Josh the Tosh, internet famous Mason.
Hello.
And Jen.
Hi.
Tim's running the boards this episode, so he can't do two things at once.
Oh, I'm changing the camera feed.
That's what running the boards means.
Bouncing between the different cameras.
You're producing.
I am. I'm producing.
You said we need another person to produce while we podcast.
I did suggest that, yeah. That's in the budget, right?
Yeah, Max is going to be the producer next episode.
Ooh, yikes. That could be good, although there might be a lot of obbies involved. Today we're going to talk about The Mandalorian, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. Jen, I believe, wonderful Jen, who has her own camera feed, is going to supply the synopsis.
What are you doing?
Just moving this, just like that.
Okay.
Tim's moving the microphone.
Well, they heard it.
I'm just explaining.
I
I'm
moved
the listener.
I moved the mic so you could get a better look at Jen. And
all of you listeners,
we'll get
a fantastic look at her.
We're still experimenting with cameras. This is our first time with multiple cameras.
It's the first time in a long time since we've used cameras, and I'm trying some different kinds, and we're just experimenting. And we're going to see how it goes.
And Max is playing in the background when he's supposed to be
And the
quiet.
dogs are playing in the background. So there's a constant jangle, even though all my life, all I want is just quiet and a nice sounding podcast.
You're the one that got a bunch of dogs.
Oh, yeah. And I'm regretting it more and more, literally, every
He
day.
complains about it constantly.
I would too.
I tried to make my family happy.
Okay. So in this episode, the beginning, Mando meets up with this guy that he used to work with at some point. His name is Ran. He used to do a lot of jobs for him. Ran is giving Mando a job because he says he needs the crest to take a crew to pick up one of his other crew members he says originally that one of his crew got caught by like a rival syndicate or something. So that's what he tells Mando they're doing. He starts to meet all of the different crew members that he's going to be going with. There's like 5 of them altogether, I think. Mayfield is the first one. He's going to be the one in charge. He is some ex-Imperial officer. They have a droid on the crew. His name is Zero. He has like a British accent and he like looks like a bug. His face, I don't know if there's a specific name for him, but that's what he looks like.
I think his voice is done by the guy from the IT Crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Richard Ayoade. Or Ayoade? Ayoade?
Yeah, yeah, one of those guys.
And then there's a Twi'lek.
And Bill Burr is the one that plays that
Miggs
dude.
Mayfield.
I gotta murder a dog. So Zeon is a Twi'lek, and she has history with Mando.
All of them have history with Mando.
He's never met Mayfield or the droid. So she's the first one he actually knows besides Rian. She knew Mando from when he worked there before. They insinuate that they were a couple or had some kind of history for a while or something.
They don't kiss and tell.
Yeah,
No.
She has vampire teeth. I've never seen that on a Twi'lek.
She's a Twi'lek.
All the Twi'lek have vampire teeth.
I've never seen it before like that.
Some of them shave them.
Okay.
Or at least I don't know if that's canon anymore.
And then there's this big devil-looking guy with like horns. His name, they call him a
Deveronian.
Deveronian, and his name is Berg.
Berg.
So Mando has basically, they want him to break into this prison ship. They find out it's not a rival syndicate. It's like a New Republic prison ship. So he's not really wanting to do that. But The Razor Crest is supposed to be like completely non-detected, and they're going to use the droid to get them in. And Mando doesn't like the idea, but he goes along with it anyway. And it just like reinforces that whole idea about how Mando hates droids and doesn't trust them. It really bothers him because he doesn't want the droid flying the crest, but he just goes along with it anyway because he needs the money. The whole prison ship is supposedly all droids. There's not supposed to be anybody but droids on it, so that's another reason he agrees. So they start to take off. The crew tries to get Mando to take his helmet off on their short trip there, and he ends up getting in a fight with Berg, and he accidentally like opens the door where he's got Baby Yoda hiding, and like this whole time you haven't even seen him, so he just has him like locked in this tiny little compartment. So everybody's like all surprised and interested and trying to figure out why he has him, and they keep calling him a pet. But it only lasts like a minute because then they abruptly get to the prison ship. They sneak aboard. And Zero starts giving them directions to the control room. Berg is just like he's not very stealthy. He's very clumsy and loud, and he just doesn't really try to hide too much. And he like shoots this droid and completely blows her cover like immediately. So there's several droids that show up, and there's a big shootout. Mando ends up killing, or whatever you call it, with a droid. Oofing all of them by himself. They get to the control room, and then they find out it's like a human inside working the control room. And so that's Mando's like, what's going on? There's only supposed to be droids here. He didn't want to hurt anybody. Nobody was supposed to get hurt. And it turns into like a standoff. Everybody's got their guns pulled out. The officer or whatever, the control room guy has like a beacon thing, an alert, and he says he's gonna set off this alarm and somebody's gonna come and blow up the whole place if he gets hurt or whatever, if he pushes the button. So Mando's trying to like de-escalate the situation and get everybody to calm down. But they even have their guns pulled on Mando, and the Twi'lek, who doesn't carry a gun really, but she's obsessed with knives, just throws a knife at the officer and kills him. And then they realize that he had pushed the button at some point, so they only have like 20 minutes to get the prisoner and get out of there. So they try to find the prisoner, and it ends up being Xion's brother. His name is Kui. He's also a Twi'lek, and there's definitely like some bad blood between.
It was Quinn.
I thought it was just Qui. I don't know. I thought it was Kui. I don't know how you say it. Maybe it was Quinn. There's like bad blood between him and Mando. They know each other and clearly have like some bad history. And there's a really weird dynamic between the brother and sister. Like you think at first that they're gonna like make out, and then they're like brother, sister. It's weird.
I didn't feel that way.
They like get all close and like put their faces in each other's faces, and I thought they were like a couple, and
they're
then
just showing affection to each other.
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't show affection to your sibling like that. I don't know. It was just weird.
Are you a Twi'lek?
No.
Why are you harshing on their
maybe
vibe?
It's not weird for them. I just think it was weird. And so then he gets out, and then they end up, the rest of the crew, like, knocks Mando into his cell.
It was a double cross. It was always a double cross.
They lock him in the cell, and then they're all super happy about it, and they think they got him, and then they start going back to the ship. And so, like, immediately Mando gets out. Like, it's like 45 seconds later, and he's already out. He, like, gets a droid to come over somehow, and I don't even know how he does it. He pulls this droid over with one of his tools that he carries,
exactly.
like a go-go gadget thing, and pulls him in, and then
go gadget grappling hook.
Yeah, and then somehow uses the droid to get him out. And so then he gets out and he gets to the control room. And then he can start shutting down all the doors. So like he traps Quinn, whatever his name is, they're together. And then Berg and Xeon are together. And he also takes down their comms, of course. So like they can't even talk to the droid who's in charge of everything and knows where to go. So they're kind of like in the dark. So like while that's going on the ship, the droid Zero is all of a sudden like extremely interested in Baby Yoda, and he just like slowly is making his way over to him.
The droid didn't know that it was even there ever.
Yeah,
so
and he also
just thought something curious was on the ship.
The droid also took it upon himself, I forgot to say this, to look up info about Mando, and he found out about how he was wanted and how he had that how he had the bounty and everything. So he's interested in what's going on with Baby Yoda, and it like keeps slowly making his way to him, and it's like this suspenseful music, like you think he's gonna hurt him, but it's like so slow, like you just takes him 45 minutes to get to him. So anyway, the crew that's trapped on the ship is all trying to find Mando. Berg finds him first, and he like really like beats the crap out of Mando. He's like impervious to fire. Mando tries to burn his face off with his flame thing, and it doesn't even bother him. So he gets pretty beat up. Mando does this thing where Berg gets knocked down to the ground, and then Mando releases the door, like that's just like goes straight down. So you think that he's gonna get like decapitated,
rancored,
but then he pops up with the door, like he's holding it, like he's
doing some deadlifts.
Yeah, he just like jumped up with it, and like it didn't even faze him. But then Mando shuts like the side doors, and then you don't really see what happened.
Like when Han short-circuited the door on the planet moon of Endor.
Forest moon.
Yeah.
Forest moon.
The planet moon.
Sorry. Forest moon. That's what I meant.
So then so then that's the
end of Berg. He gets sliced up.
Yeah, so that's the end of Berg.
We assume.
And then Xeon catches up to him, and like she like really wants to kill him. She like just starts throwing 1,000 knives at him, and a lot of them hit him. A lot of the knives do hit him, but he takes her down. I don't even remember how, but he gets her. And then finally, the last one he gets to is Mayfield, and it doesn't show them fight at all. Like it just shows Mando sneaking up behind him, and then Mayfield realizing he's there, and he's just like knows he's done for.
He says shucks.
So then he gets back to the ship.
Well, he captured Quinn.
Oh yeah, he gets Quinn, and Quinn convinces him to still take him back and finish the deal. And he tries to use like the whole code. Isn't that your code?
Quinn just
is like
he
you made a
surrendered
deal.
To Mando.
So he goes back with him, and then right in time for Mando to kill the droid as he's about to grab Baby Yoda. So he takes Quinn back to Ran. He gets his money, and Ran is like, "Where's everybody else?" And he's like, "No questions, remember?" And then he's like,
"That's our policy."
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, I guess you're right."
No questions.
And then so Mando gets on the ship, and then instantly Rand gives like a kill order to somebody unknown. You can't see them. He's just on a speaker, like, kill him. And so then Quinn is like thinks it's hilarious that they're gonna kill him anyway. And you realize that Mando put the beacon on Quinn.
Tracking beacon that the jailer had alerted.
Yeah. So it's like they only had 20 minutes, and this whole time fighting all of those people all throughout the prison.
They went through hyperspace too.
Does that reverse time?
No.
But I mean, he went through the whole prison and fought all these different people.
Right, and minutes before.
Got Quinn, got on the ship, traveled, had this conversation, collected his money, and then it still hasn't been 20 minutes yet.
The beacon showed back up. in a nearby sector or something, so then they can hyperspace on their way there. It didn't have to all happen in 20 minutes.
All right. I guess it wasn't like a self-destruct thing in 20 minutes, I guess. Okay. So anyway, he's got the beacon now, and Quinn doesn't even know what it is because he wasn't there for that part. But Rand knows what it is, so he tries to make a run for it and just like leave Quinn there holding the beacon. And so you can see Mando flying away right as these New Republic ships come in and they blow everything up, and Mando jumps to hyperspeed, whatever, and he's gone. And then the last thing you see is scan back to the prison, and he actually put the other 3 crew members in a prison cell. He didn't kill any of them. Even it kind of made you think he had killed them all, but he really just put them in prison. So they were captured.
You mentioned that the rebels showed up and blew up Rand's base, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not the rebels.
Well, the New Republic.
I thought it... When I saw this, I was like, I'm so confused. I thought they were, in the beginning, I thought it was like an Imperial prison, and then I was like, why are there these rebels coming?
The New Republic prison ship.
And so I was confused, but, I really like...
Did you know that the pilots were directors of the episodes?
Are you serious?
I didn't notice that.
One of the pilots was Dave Filoni. One of the pilots was Deborah Chow, who directed 2 episodes. And one of the pilots was Rick Famuyiwa, who is the director of this episode.
That was Dave Filoni?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
I thought it was the guy from, what's the show that was like My Name is Earl, except for it had a kid in it? Raising Hope.
No.
You remember the cashier guy?
No. I've never seen that show ever in my life.
Oh, it's a really good show.
I thought it was him.
The guy with the black hair?
Yeah.
You thought that was... Oh.
Yeah, I did. They look similar.
That was Dave Filoni.
The man himself.
His name is Trapper Wolf, which, for those of you that remember all the Star Wars Rebels and whatnot, he's big into wolves.
Yeah.
But he shows up again. Like, he's a recurring character.
Yeah, he does show up later.
I really like the actor... Bill Burr, he plays Mayfield.
Bill Burr, isn't he like a super famous podcaster now? Isn't he like super duper famous for it?
Yeah, he's one of the first big blow up podcasts.
I didn't even know that.
Isn't it called like the Monday Morning Podcast or something? I can't remember.
I honestly don't know.
He's a comedian.
There's a handful of podcasts I listen to, and those are not them. The popular ones. Like Joe Rogan or whatever.
He was on Chappelle's show. That was like his first big
really
break.
Funny.
Was he?
Yeah. He's in a bunch of Chappelle's show episodes.
Okay.
Monday morning. He has...
Yeah, Monday Morning Podcast.
And he has more than one, I think.
He was in Breaking Bad.
He was in Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Who did he play in Breaking Bad?
He was one of the stooges for...
Oh, yeah. Of course he was. I remember that, yeah. Yeah.
Him and that big black dude sitting on the pile of money.
Oh, what was that guy's name?
I can't remember.
Oh, it's such a good name. Huel.
Yeah, Huel.
Yeah, that was good. This episode was super cheeseball to me. This is probably my least favorite Mandalorian episode.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't think it was bad.
100%. I think it was my least favorite. A lot of it has to do with the acting of the 2 Twi'leks. And I'm not saying like it's the actors' faults, but like the characters that they played just annoyed the living bejesus out of me. And the Devaronian, who was just like so stereotypically...
Meathead.
Yeah.
Well, they even were like, no surprise, he's our muscle.
Right.
Like, they were like,
I know.
We're going to just... stereotype this thing
Everybody's
as far
a stereotype.
as
Everyone, all of them were a stereotype, and which
I didn't mind.
It's fine. Stereotypes are fine, whatever. But they didn't hit home with me, and I was bored a lot of the episode every time I watched it, which is 3 times now.
I didn't mind watching this one more than once. There's a lot that I would have rather not watched more than once, but I thought this one was alright.
Oh no, this
one didn't make me bored.
I've only watched it once and I enjoyed it. Just because it was
different.
Fast paced.
Yeah, it was fast paced and you're not like just staring at a desert or like forgetting what happened. Or there wasn't any like...
I wouldn't have forgotten what happened, but I would have rather stared at a desert.
I like it when there's more dialogue and there's actually things happening and you're not just like in space and you just see shooting and you don't know. You can't remember who's doing what or what happened.
Oh, no, I would have much rather seen a space fight.
Nah.
Plus it sets up some characters for later.
Yeah.
Unintentionally. Like when they talk about it.
Unintentional.
Well, they've talked about how they saw the episode and they saw Mayfield, they decided to bring him back. Like,
yeah,
before, when they were envisioning the season, he was just going to be a one-off.
We've obviously seen the rest of this season. It's been out for a little bit now, like a couple of years, and so Mayfield comes back in his pretty big way. But I thought watching it again this time, I thought they intentionally did this the way they did because he was the only one that didn't try to attack Mando and didn't actually try to kill him. The other two were like aggressively, even ran. Everybody else in the whole episode was trying to kill him, and Mayfield wasn't like that at all. He wasn't trying to protect him.
He was the only one who hadn't been with the crew before. All the rest of them knew Mando.
Right, he had been with them.
He was not with the crew, and Mando was part of the crew. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but he still could have been a bad guy and tried to murder somebody. He just didn't.
Deveronian wasn't.
But he was
and neither was the robot.
The robot doesn't matter.
Okay, well, so one member of the crew.
So, no, the two Twi'leks.
Twi'leks and the guy masterminding the plan.
Okay.
Anyway, I just thought it was interesting that he didn't
He was a former Imperial sharpshooter, Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name again in the episode?
Mayfield,
that's right.
Miggs Mayfield.
That's a good name.
Yeah,
Miggs.
it is.
That's a real good name. But yeah, I could have done without this episode for.
You could say that. You say that about almost everything.
The other problem.
No, I don't.
The other problem is this was like the third episode in a row where it just felt like there wasn't a reason.
There was no arc.
Like it wasn't expanding on the story. It was obviously introducing new things, but it didn't feel like part of the serial story.
But I like having those episodes. I really do. The ones that don't necessarily mean anything, like the one we watched 2 episodes ago, where the ATST comes out of nowhere, and that didn't really move the story forward.
Right, that's what I just said. 3 episodes in a row.
Right. So, like, I really enjoyed that episode. That episode made me quite happy.
But
I like this one a lot more than the one last time where they were.
But the whole thing is they're setting up characters.
Right.
There's no way they're introducing these characters. They just don't feel natural because it doesn't expand on the story. But then when you get to when the characters come back, then it makes more sense on why they did it.
It does.
They're setting up a broader plan, but you didn't know that yet when we first saw it. It just kind of felt like disparate sort. And he never has any money for being this vaunted bounty hunter, Mandalorian. You know, he walks into a building, everyone's like, "Oh my god, that's a Mandalorian." He's always broke. Like he's constantly looking for money. He had to leave his whole life.
He had to escape. He didn't take anything with him except his ship.
So
Beskar.
He had the whole time he was trying to buy better Beskar.
Right, he's always trying to get more Beskar.
So his whole thing has been that. So any money he had went into Beskar to help him make better armor, and then also recover the Beskar because it's the honorable whatever thing to do for his religion. So that's why he has no money saved up. And now he's out. Now he's kicked out of the guild. So he has no way to get money. He can't take a normal bounty, so he has no money. So yeah, of course he's always broke.
But it's just every episode, it's about finding more money.
Which is totally fine. He needs to have some kind of goal.
He had to spend a lot of money on getting his ship fixed.
I just like the serial nature. Like when I just rewatched Empire Strikes Back when you were over. and I watched Return of the Jedi earlier today while I was building the AT-AT, and it makes me wish that those movies were TV shows. Like, I love those movies. They like crack me up. I laugh like the whole time, and I just love some of the moments. But I don't like the movie time aspect of it, where everything has to happen so quick. They seem to skip time, and I want
very compressed.
Right. I want the time. I want the downtime. I want those little moments that should just be a comic book or a TV show or something like that. I would have rather they in the movies that they put in a little like 6 months later, and then or add that in post or something, like in the special edition. They add in oh yeah, by the way, Luke was actually on Dagobah for like 6 weeks. It wasn't just 6 hours that he did the training. Anyway, those are my thoughts on movie time and serial nature of TV shows.
But even this series, there's only 8 episodes, so like, yeah, it's more time, but it still feels like they gotta, especially like I'm saying, at the time when this was happening live, coming out once a week, it felt like, hey, there's only 3 episodes left. They better start doing something. And then this thing came out, and it's like, it wasn't bad. It didn't advance the story. So it just felt like the final 2 episodes had to be rushed because we were just treading water on what we'll see.
On the rest.
Maybe they just had too many different things they wanted to do and they couldn't.
Well, they clearly had a broader plan to set up future things.
Yeah.
Which is completely fine because they can make as many episodes as they want. And I think the future of Star Wars has to be
to some
TV.
extent, but like at the
TV.
time, this was like an important thing. Like if it didn't work,
you're right.
They weren't going to make more TV shows.
You're totally right.
This was the first one.
Well, I mean, they were going to make more TV shows.
They had some planned, but not as many as
as are now. Mandalorian has become like a Disney Plus seller.
Right, like Disney was relying on it to perform.
Yeah.
So it felt weird in the moment, is my point. How it just didn't seem like the story was going anywhere. They were still cool. I didn't dislike them. It's just interesting.
What else do we have to say about this specific episode? I think I pretty much said everything I needed to say. Mando was significantly conniving, but yet still good. Intrinsically good. Jennifer? Thoughts? The camera just went on you and it zoomed in dramatically.
Did it? Did you do that?
Yeah.
He didn't zoom in.
I didn't zoom in.
We already cropped them all.
I don't have any.
They're zoomed in.
I don't have any other thoughts. Yeah, he really tried really hard not to let that officer, prison guard, whatever he was, get hurt. He didn't want him to get hurt. So, it's just building up his. I don't know if he's changed with having to take care of Baby Yoda, like if it's supposed to mean like he's caring more about humanity or others than he did, or if he was always like that. I don't know, but I think that was an important aspect of this episode.
It definitely seems like he's caring more, and I think Baby Yoda softened his heart, like all children or pets do to you. They just make you soft in the heart, right, honey?
Mm-hmm. They kept calling, all of the rest of the crew kept calling Baby Yoda a pet, and it was really bothering me.
Because nobody has seen this race
before.
Like, it's not a widely known species of sentient being in the universe.
Yeah, it's like the second or the third one that we've ever really seen. We don't even know where they come from still. Unless they've done something canon-wise that I don't know about.
No.
And from here, we lost a little bit of audio, a very small amount. So I'll just say, may the force be with you, and party on.
we're doomed.
This podcast is a part of the Benview Network.
You can find this and other podcasts like it at BenviewNetwork.com.